Jasmine Crockett has quickly become one of the most dynamic voices in Congress, known for her sharp questioning, unapologetic style, and deep commitment to accountability. As a member of both the House Oversight and House Judiciary Committees, she sits at the intersection of some of Washington's most high-stakes investigations and policy debates. Today, Congresswoman Crockett joins the conversation to break down what's really happening behind closed doors in the Capitol, from the growing tensions between parties to the urgent issues affecting everyday Americans. Her insights offer a first-hand look at how the oversight process works, what challenges lawmakers face when truth meets politics, and how these moments shape the direction of our democracy. In a time when misinformation and political spin dominate the headlines, voices like hers bring clarity and a grounded perspective to the national dialogue. Whether she's calling out hypocrisy, defending voting rights, or pushing for transparency, her approach continues to resonate with voters who are demanding honesty and results from their leaders. We're glad to have her with us to discuss the latest developments in Washington, her role on the key committees that drive oversight and justice, and what it all means for the future of American governance.
What stands out to you from these emails that were publicly released by the committee today?
Yeah, so number one, it is clear that he knew what was going on, which I think that he's kind of alluded to that at some point in time, because the president said that he was trying to kick Ghislaine out of Mar-a-Lago because it seems like that's where girls were being recruited from based on information that we have. But more importantly is that he was having conversation, he being Jeffrey Epstein, with Michael Wolff, who is writing this book or trying to put together this book. And in real time, as Trump is running for his first presidential run, we hear or we see that he made it clear that he believes that he has leverage over Trump. And he said that a Trump regime would basically open up, this is me paraphrasing, this is not exactly what he said, but basically it'd be a free-for-all. And as we've seen, especially in this second term, it's been a free-for-all where Trump has absolutely pardoned some folk that we know are terrible, and we are waiting on him to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that that's coming up soon, too.
Yeah, an important point indeed. Congresswoman, let's take a closer look at that email from Epstein where he writes to the author, Michael Wolff, saying this, and it's a direct quote, redacted victim, the name was redacted. Mar-a-Lago, Trump said he'd asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Obviously, we don't have the full context here, but I'm curious, how do you read this specific email and what it means?
Yeah, I think that it is showing that he was well aware and he was trying to cover his tracks at that point in time. And I think that that's what you saw from Jeffrey. Obviously, it'd be better if we could talk to Jeffrey today, but it was very interesting that ultimately Jeffrey Epstein died sitting in prison during Trump's administration.
We had on Representative Marlon Stutzman earlier. He's a Republican, and he tried to make the case that President Trump is the most investigated person in the world, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing here. What do you make of that?
Listen, they will do and say anything to cover themselves. You know, I will admit that Donald Trump has been investigated more than the normal, but he just happens to be more corrupt and more criminal than any other president than we've had. I will point out he is the only president who has been convicted of 34 felony convictions that we've ever had in the Oval Office. So while we don't know exactly what crimes he may or may not have committed, just think of it this way. If you know that you didn't do anything, then why is it that you would be twisting members of your own party's arms, trying to get them not to release it? This would be exonerating. If you know that you are free and clear, then why not say, you know what, release the files? In fact, he campaigned on releasing the files because he didn't realize that anything that he was involved in whatsoever was involved in the files. But let me tell you something. Another thing that was said in that other email that he had with Michael Wolff was he was talking about if he wants to basically play hardball, we will make mention of the fact that he really has been on the plane, and I don't remember if it mentioned the island.
Let's actually put that email up just so our viewers can fully understand what it says. I just hope the control room can put this email up. It says, I think you should let him hang himself, and this is in response to a question of whether CNN would plan to ask Trump in a town hall about the relationship with Epstein. Epstein said, how do we craft an answer for him? And Michael Wolff says in this email, I think you should let him hang himself. himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime.
Yes.
That's a full email.
Yes, yes, yes. That is clear that Jeffrey Epstein had something to hang over his head. Why else or how else could you have a debt that you are able to? Now, exactly what it was, who knows, right? And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. But the fact that Trump does not want these files to be out, to me, says that he has more to hide than him actually being able to exonerate himself.
And then the other email talking about that we used initially, I'm just trying to find that email so I can be really precise here, but it talks about how Epstein is emailing Maxwell saying that Trump was with a victim at his house for several hours. This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans are saying that that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by suicide. She's been very outspoken. Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that, and can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth. Whether or not she told everything, who knows? Again, another person that we can't talk to because we have yet another side around this. So I think that that's actually one of the things that we should talk about, is that the president has tried to call this all a hoax. I don't think you have this many people dying around a hoax. I don't think you have somebody trying to hide files around a hoax. We know that there's something there. We know that his own attorney general had to admit that he is in the files. But they are trying to hide stuff. The only reason that we have these emails is because we were able to get them from the estate, not because...
This information didn't come to light because the Department of Justice decided to release it, or because former Trump aide Kash Patel volunteered it. In fact, despite multiple subpoenas from the House Oversight Committee, Patel has continued to withhold key documents. That's why it's significant that, at least somewhere within this process, there are still individuals who respect the law and honor the authority of congressional subpoenas. Even if those currently in power seem unwilling to do so, it really raises the question, what more could we uncover if full investigatory records were actually turned over instead of being filtered through selective sources or released posthumously from estates? The American public deserves transparency, especially when it comes to accountability at the highest levels of government. And it's worth noting, the Oversight Committee itself is chaired by Republican Congressman James Comer. Technically, he's the one issuing these subpoenas, but to be clear, this effort wasn't something Comer initially championed. The real momentum came from within a subcommittee, where both Democrats and some Republicans came together to demand action. At a time when the Speaker of the House has repeatedly moved to delay or disrupt investigations, even sending lawmakers into early recess to stall progress, this bipartisan move stands out. It shows that, despite political gridlock, there are still members on both sides of the aisle who understand that oversight is not optional. It's a core function of democracy, and one that the American people expect Congress to uphold.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know if she's on that subcommittee, but Nancy Mace is on that subcommittee for sure. She's actually the chair of that subcommittee. This subcommittee, the ranking member is Summer Lee. So it was that subcommittee. So this was actually the tail wagging the dog. I just want to be clear about that. And ultimately, the chairman had a vote that was bipartisan, that was the majority, and he had to do it. But whether or not they have been like slow rolling this, there's no question about the fact that they have.
And you have had Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe Thomas Massie. It's been some Republicans who want the full floor vote on this.
Yeah, we've got four. 4 out of the 219 Republicans, yes, in the House. The rest of them seem to be okay with being complicit with protecting pedophiles.
You know, it's interesting. A CNN poll from last July showed that 50% of Americans were feeling dissatisfied about the amount of information released on the Epstein case. Did that have any influence at all on your decision to make these emails public today?
At this point, it's clear that we're not getting any meaningful cooperation from the Department of Justice. Instead, most of the new information is coming from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, which has been far more forthcoming than the federal institutions that should be leading on transparency. Each time the estate releases new documents, congressional staff must spend time carefully reviewing them, ensuring accuracy, proper redactions, and public value before anything is shared. While early findings include just a few emails deemed significant, officials expect that more materials will surface as the review continues. The process is deliberate and methodical, and yes, it involves consulting with Republican members before anything is made public. Ironically, the Epstein estate has shown more willingness to cooperate than the very Department of Justice, which Congress is supposed to oversee. That dynamic alone speaks volumes about how broken accountability has become in Washington. As for where things go from here, that remains uncertain. Lawmakers are still waiting on the swearing in of Adelita Grichalva, a step that has been delayed repeatedly as House leadership continues to stall legislative progress. Behind the scenes, there's speculation that the White House has been reaching out to a few key Republicans, pressuring them to pull their support from the discharge petition, a move that would further delay oversight efforts. Even after months of recess, Congress was called back for just one day of work. And instead of tackling the long list of pending appropriations bills, leadership appears to be slow-walking the subpoena process yet again. It's another reminder that transparency and accountability often move only as fast as politics will allow. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you for your insight and perspective. If you found this discussion valuable, share your thoughts in the comments, leave a like, and subscribe for more in-depth political coverage and analysis. I'm Insights Brief. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.